Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. Read your Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, taking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out.
Tala falava, malo elele, and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. It's 2022 and we are back with our very first episode of the year. On today's show, we have an inspirational islander. He is a professional wrestler and athlete, an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, and a role model. He speaks 3 languages and is based out of Tokyo, Japan, and Auckland, New Zealand. It is my honor to welcome to the show, Toksfale. Welcome, bro.
Jesus.
How are you, man?
Good, I'm great, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm very happy because you're doing this kind of stuff, because it helps us islanders in Tokyo and Japan, and it helps everybody else who comes to visit to find out what goes on here. Thank you.
You know, bro, I appreciate it because I know you're such a busy person. You're a jet setter. You know, you're in Auckland 1 minute, then you're in Tokyo. So, you know, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming through. Can you share with our audience a little bit about where you come from in New Zealand, in Tonga, and maybe shout out your villages and your people?
Okay. Short answer.
Wow.
Yeah, I was born in Tonga, and I grew up with my grandparents over in Mu'a, La Paha, and Tutakumu, Tonga. And when I was 6 years old, I moved to New Zealand, went to school in New Zealand, out there in South Auckland at De La Salle College. And when I graduated from college there, I got a scholarship to come to Japan and go to school here, then played rugby, and now I'm wrestling. Short answer.
Yeah, that was a very short answer, but I'm not going to let you get away with it because I heard you mention De La Salle College, 81 Grey Ave, Mangere, hashtag Valukasi. So, bro, you know, I always see you ripping, you know, the De La Salle College shirts and the brand. Can you tell us a little bit about your time at De La Salle College? What are some memorable moments from your schooling years there?
Why did I go to De La Salle? I was the only member of my family at the time to go there while everybody else went to different schools in the area. But why did I go there? I was a big fan of John Kerwin. So John Kerwin went to De La Salle and made the All Blacks from De La Salle, and I was a big fan of his. And I was playing wing at the time because I was just small and skinny. But when I got there, my wing days quickly turned into lock and number 8. So.
You know, it's interesting, yeah, because De La Salle College, there are a couple of former students, like here, living in Japan. There's a collective of you guys. Like, is it cool when you meet up with some of the brothers that are former students of La Salle here in Japan? Like, are you guys hardcore? Valukasi, Todoti?
Yeah, it's great. The thing with our school is, it doesn't matter what year you finish, or if you finish back in the 70s or 80s, you meet somebody who just graduated last week, we're like best friends. And every time we see somebody and we find out we're the same school, automatically, you need help, I'll be there for you.
Wow.
And that's why it's very, like,
It's the brotherhood, man. Yeah. That's what's up. Can you think of a teacher who inspired you when you were at school, or someone that really motivated you to be the best that you can be?
I have 2. One of them is my coach, which gave me the opportunity to get over here. But the one that really pushed me was Kane Raukura. He was my dean, and I really didn't like this guy, you know, but he's the one that actually made me want to go after the things I wanted to, because he was so tough on me, and I don't want to say hate because that's how you feel, but it's not hate, it's frustration at the same time. But he was one of the guys that just was on my case all the time, and while I was at school, I felt like he was just picking on me. But when I graduated the first time, the first time meaning I went back for another year, but
Right.
the first time I graduated, I went up to get my diploma, and he shook my hand and he said, "I want to hear great things about you," which kind of hit a chord with me because here I am going through whole of high school and nothing really stood out for me as a rugby player or as a student. But here's my dean, the guy who was always on my case, saying to me, "I want to hear great things about you," and it felt like he had some belief in me, and that's what really got me in this motivational. I got to get to my goal because this guy here wants to hear it, and I've never heard that before from any teacher. But then I found that I failed my first graduation, so I really had to decide. In order to be great, I have to go back and get my bursary. If I leave there, my teacher is gonna think, "Oh, I asked you, I wanted to hear about you." So I made it a goal. I needed to make this guy remember who I was, because I knew when you leave, a lot of people when they leave high school, a lot of them, the teachers don't remember who they are years later. But I kind of had this goal of, I want to come back in 5 years, 10 years, and I want these teachers to know who I am or remember who I was. And the second time I went back, got my bursary, and funny enough, went up to shake his hand again, and he says to me, "I want to hear great things about you." And I thought, you will.
Bird. Have you ever gone back and said to him, "This is the impact that you had on me as a young man, and now I'm coming back as an adult"? Like, have you had the opportunity to go back and see him and share this with him?
Yes, actually, it was my checking point, kind of. So when I came to Japan, throughout the years, I've been here 20 years, and throughout the years, every time I go to New Zealand, I go back to school and just to see what he says. When I go back, every time I see him, I say hello, whatever. But you know how you see some people and they say, "Oh, I heard you were doing great things," and all that. That never happened. Every time I met up with him, he wouldn't mention anything, and that kind of gave me the point of where I was in my career or in my journey. And it wasn't until I think 2015, 16 years later, when I went back one time and he said, "Hey man, I hear you're wrestling now, you're doing this," and I kind of like, oh, finally
giving you some recognition.
Yeah, and then I didn't tell him. I wrote on a Facebook post one time, and I added his name and the impact. Just because I wanted to show students who were at school at the time who this teacher was, and everybody who goes through school always has their one teacher.
You did mention that there was another teacher that also kind of like got you through school. Who was that?
That was my coach, and Mr. Hurst. So because of him, I was able to get my scholarship to get to Japan, and throughout the years in rugby, he was always there for me. So I like to call him my white dad.
Give it up to Mr. Hurst,
Mr.
white
Hurst.
dad.
Yeah, white dad. But he's married to Samoan.
Yeah.
He's got Samoan kids.
Yeah.
But especially in De La Salle. De La Salle was when I went there, it was 95% Samoans, and maybe 2% Tongans, or even less than that. And then the rest.
Yeah.
So it was very, how do you say, very tough being a minority in such a big Samoan, how do you say, Samoan dominated school. And even the teachers, there was a lot of Islanders, and then to have a coach like Mr. Harris, like telling all these big islanders what to do, and you're like, it's crazy.
Just a side note, did you ever do Polyfest?
Yes.
Like, were you in the Tongan group, or
Yes,
were you
yes,
in the
I-
Samoan group, or I don't know what?
I was in the Tongan group. I tried to get in the Samoan group, but no, it's a whole different level because Te La Salle was known for the strictness and the speed that they perform at, and I was like, hell no, man. No, very different.
And still to this day, you know,
Yeah.
still to this day out there ripping Volkasi hard. So you're a proud South Aucklander as well. What do you want the world to know about the South Auckland that you know?
There's a lot of things everybody already knows it for, but what I do want the world to know is the talent over there is so vast. I see a lot of people. Americans go to American Samoa to find football players, right? They go to Cuba to find baseball players, and that's one of the reasons why I put my school in South Auckland, because I see the talent that's over there, the size and the athleticism. Just to give them a different option, because we have rugby, we have boxing, just the normal sports. Was nothing's wrong with it, but some talent get looked over. So what I think South Auckland is just full of talent, just amazing talent that can thrive in any sport.
You mentioned, so you got a scholarship, you came to Japan to play rugby and to attend university. What was it like when you got off the plane? Because Islanders, I mean, if you're a rugby player and you're Islander, you're coming in, you're pretty big, Japanese people are short and, small, and was that culture shock for you? And were you someone that walked and stood out amongst the crowds?
Yeah, here's how closed off our little country in South Pacific is. I literally thought that when I got off the plane, people will be in kimonos and straw hats.
Oh, hey. Not you with your
and there's
kimono.
katanas. Oh my God. Literally, I thought it wasn't until I got out of the plane and man, I was 18 years old, and I thought to myself, how stupid am I? And I looked around at people's in suits and walking around normally, and I go, you're watching too many movies.
Yeah, that's what. Man, what did your parents think about you moving over here? I mean, 18 years old. Island parents, man. That leaving family is so difficult. So, how did they feel about you just getting on a plane and just coming over here?
It was very for me. It was very scary. Just letting them know this is what I'm gonna do, and this is what I've been offered. And I literally thought they were gonna say no, because island families, they want everybody to stay close,
Right.
and to go to Japan, which is almost halfway around the world kind of thing. It was scary, but at the same time, when I told them, they just said, if that's what you want to do it, and I'm pretty sure you guys went through the same thing,
For sure.
especially as island girls.
For real. Yes, I see the production crew over there. Our production crew over there, nodding hard. Shout out to Amelia and Emma over here. For sure, absolutely. So how do you go from rugby and attending university to wrestling? Like what changed, or what happened that changed that path that you were on and took you towards wrestling? Because that's a really big change. Like, they send you here for rugby and then they're like, hey, what? He's wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
There was this one point back in 2007 and 8, and the economy was crashing at the time. And I remember I was with the team that I was with, Sanix. I was finishing up with them, and I was trying to find another team. So while in the process of waiting for other teams to look over my stuff, the economy crashed, and nobody was hiring because everybody's nobody was coming from overseas. They weren't taking any foreigners. So I was kind of stuck in limbo for a whole year. And I got into teaching as well.
Ooh.
I spent a year teaching in high schools and other stuff. And really, that really gave me an opportunity to understand what you guys go through, you know. And it wasn't easy, but at the same time, it got me connected with some teachers who introduced me to the right people, which helped me get into wrestling. Actually, it gave me an epiphany to realize there's something else that I can do. Why not try different things? And wrestling came along, and I thought, you know what? Let's try it. So I went and tried out, got in, and that's where it started.
The rest is history, so they say. You know, did you know much about wrestling? What I mean is, you know, in New Zealand, like, of course, we grew up and we have American wrestling there, right? I don't think I ever saw anything or heard anything about Japanese wrestling. So, you know, who were some of the wrestlers that you knew about, you know, as you were kind of like moving into wrestling? Like, did you have any favorites growing up?
Yes, it's also the first 6 years I spent in Tonga. And, you know, my grandfather was a big wrestling fan.
Of
But
course.
back then, TV, we only had a TV, a VCR, and some movies on cassette. We didn't have TV, so my grandpa only had some wrestling videos. So for the first 6 years of my life, I watched wrestling pretty much with him. And, you know, guys like King Haku and Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. These are the first guys I saw as wrestlers. It's my heroes, you know. But in Japan, it's really, it's massive here. I never realized. I didn't know until I debuted, until I tried out and got in, how big it was. Because when I tried out, got in, a lot of my friends, Japanese friends, will call me and say, "I can't believe you made it in. This is one of the biggest companies in the world." And I had no idea what it was. But I did know the wrestling in America, and I thought, oh, it's going to be easy, this, and this. Got in and then realized it's a whole different world. Japanese wrestling compared to American was very different, very different.
Were there any other islanders or even New Zealanders, or, you know, at the time that you were starting to get into the training,
Yes.
yeah, in wrestling, like, were there others that you knew of, or were you just kind of like one of the very first, like the pioneers in regards to Pacifica?
I was fortunate to get one when I got in. It had been maybe 20 years since the Haku era and the Samoan era kind of thing. But when I got in, I remember the Usos were still coming up.
Yes.
I remember Tonga and Tangaroa, they were coming up too. So we were all in different countries. They were in Puerto Rico, you had the Usos WE, and I was over here. And it had been a long time since Islanders were there, since The Rock and all those guys. So we were kind of like the next generation. And then when I found out Tonga was going to come over, I was really happy because I thought I was going to be the only Tongan or Islander.
Yeah.
But when he came, and it was a funny story too, when he came, I was already a year in the company, and when he came, it was funny, he came maybe a month later, we had a wedding for the wrestling, one of the wrestlers, and we went there, and I said, you know what, let's take a photo, man, because we're in nice suits. So we took a photo, I chucked it up on my page, and then amazingly everybody started commenting, hey, do you know that's whose son? That's,
Oh,
you know,
wow,
that's
small
your
world.
cousin, or that's your relative from this village.
Wow.
And that's how we found out we were family. Then from then on, it was like, you know what, we're not alone. We're
That's
family,
so
let's
cool,
take care of
man. What a small world. See, Tongans be everywhere, huh? There you go, fam. Tongans be everywhere. Just saying. You know, before I forget, I really just also want to shout out Mai, who is the owner of this beautiful Yemen cafe right here in Daikanyama, Tokyo. She has allowed us to be here today to film this podcast in person. So we appreciate you She's over there. She's over there.
Thank you,
We appreciate you. Thank you. And just, I don't know if you can see this beautiful spread in front of us. Obviously, Toksfale and I want to go handies, but we're trying to be professional here. Now is not the time to be looking ugly on the camera, on the podcast. So we just, beautiful spread here in front of us. We're going to eat after. So yeah. But let's talk Japan wrestling, New Japan professional wrestling. Because right now you are known as the Rogue General. Guys, he doesn't even look aggressive and like, you know what I mean? He's not in his persona. He's like, this is Toksfale as his regular guy, but he's known as the Rogue General right now. And my question is, I'm so curious about how they come up with your name. Like, do you have a say in regards to the story, the narrative, or do they come and say, right, this is who you're going to be next?
It's a combination. Some wrestlers, the company comes up with the name. So sometimes the wrestler comes up with a name and the company says okay. But with my one, it was a mix, because when I first debuted, they gave me the name of King Fale, and it was a combination of King Haku, who started wrestling here in Japan, and then just adding my name, but connecting that Tongan connection, and also King Tonga is a kingdom, so just King Fale. But then when I switched to be a bad guy,
he's the bad guy, folks. He is the bad guy.
when I switched to be a bad guy, the company approached me and they said, we want to give you the name Bad Luck. And I really didn't, I still don't agree with it, because I'm a motivational guy, but then they wanted to give me this negative word name, but hey, they're paying the bills, so
yeah.
So they gave me the name, and I said I'll agree to it, but I want to add my own twist to it. So Bad Luck, meaning whoever faces you is gonna face bad luck, and whatever happens. But I wanted to get rid of that stigma of the bad guy. So the bad guy, the bad luck, is in the ring, but when I'm outside of the ring, I used to go as the underboss, or now I go as the Rogue General, meaning I'll do what I want, not what you want, kind of thing.
That's what's up, fam. That's the Rogue General, right? Yeah. No more bad luck. Hey, Toksfale. I've always wanted to ask this question, but now that you're as a wrestler who's been in for many years, did you have to work on your acting skills? Or you just a natural, like
it was a mix. It was a mix, because in wrestling it is entertainment, but the physicality side of things is very real, because we have a lot of people who do die, and a lot of people who get paralyzed from wrestling. But of course, it's entertainment. You do have to learn how to act. It's like you look at a movie. You watch a movie and you're so drawn into it because you think it's real. But then after the movie, you're like, oh, that was a good acting. That's how
So
it is.
what you're saying then is you are a good actor. You're pretty. The Rock, if you are listening, Toksfale right here.
No, I'm saying I'm a good entertainer. I'm not a good actor. If I was a good actor, I'd be like The Rock.
He's your uncle though, eh? He's all our uncles, so
Yeah. I also want to say, us Islanders, especially because, we grew up as entertainers. We dance, we joke around. You got the polyfest and stuff. So naturally we're entertainers, but you just add a little bit of acting and a little bit of falling and punching, and then
just a little bit.
And then it's this business is very easy for us Islanders. So
That is so true. It all begins in the church, folks. It all begins in the church. Your parents staring you down during White Sunday, making sure that you say your Bible verse, get it right. You sing your heart out. That's what's up.
True.
Because they have meet and greets here, for so many different things, and obviously for wrestling as well. what's one? Can you think of something really strange that a fan has given you as a gift, or something really funny that you thought, oh, this is, have you received any strange gifts from fans? Or not really?
Well, not really. I've received a lot of gifts. Um, Actually, not weird or anything, but the gift that I got there really got me surprised. Was maybe a bottle of whiskey that cost maybe like 6-7 grand as a gift from a fan. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah. So the
crazy.
thing about the wrestling in Japan is it's that the fan base is a lot of businessmen, a lot of business owners, and a lot of other famous people love it too. So wrestling fans in Japan have money. So
yeah, so they're out there giving you like actual gifts, not like a pair of underpants or something, like wrapped up just for Toksfale. There he is. I see.
which some guys have gotten that, but
But
I was lucky enough.
Not the very general. Not bad luck Fale here. Not King Fale, he says. Now we know. Bro, that's one more thing though, the theme song that you walk in, theme songs and anything that's associated to your persona for the wrestling brand, do you get a say in that, or again is it still part of the company and the promotions people are the ones like?
Yes, you do have a say. The company will have a list of songs that you can pick from, or you can bring your own song, you can make your own song, or if you have friends who are artists, they'll do it for you. But that has to align with the company's playing rights and all that kind of stuff.
Earlier in the interview, you mentioned your school, Fale Dojo, out in South Auckland in New Zealand. Has that always been a dream of yours to start a school for wrestling, a wrestling school in South Auckland?
Yes. When I graduated as a intern in Japan as a young wrestler, they send you overseas for like a year or two just to go and learn different styles of wrestling. So they sent me to America. When I was in America, I was touring with some of the guys there. But at the same time, we're doing seminars. So I found, helping these kids learn wrestling the right way or the proper way was enjoyable and it felt good. So I thought, I could combine the discipline and what I've learned, and I could take it back to New Zealand and help a lot of kids. Because of course South Auckland is full of troubled youth. So that was one of the main goals I wanted to start one day.
And so you've created this school, this dojo. It's you've created a really safe space for the community to come in. You run community programs. You and your team run community programs like boot camps and things like that. Can you mention the people that you work with? Who are the people that run the school when you're not there? Like, can you shout out your team? Who is your team that runs the school for you when you're not there?
Right now I have maybe 4 or 5 staff members. We have Tony Kozina, who's our wrestling coach, and he also runs our 3-month course that we do a few times a year. We also have Mark Tui, who started off with me as one of my students, and throughout the hard work he's done, has become my business partner at the school, and his wonderful wife, and they look after the place. So we also have Tangi Ropati, and he's our conditioner, fitness trainer. So these guys, when I'm there, I'm kind of like just the backup for these guys, but 100% they run the place.
Man, it's awesome, mate, because you need to have like a trusted team around you, especially with all the traveling that you do. So it's cool that you can, they take ownership and they've got you when you're not around. I was wondering about girls, females. who are interested in wrestling. Have you had any that have come through to the wrestling, to the dojo, and have shown an interest? Are there opportunities for them to perhaps wrestle in Japan or in the US? Like, what is there for?
Right now, our company in Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, has our parent company has acquired the all-female wrestling company here in Japan called Stardom, which gives me an extra option to open it up to girls in New Zealand. And I've had 2 island girls come through, and 1 Maori girl. And I'm telling you, if these girls really had the finances or the time, they'd be major superstars.
Wow.
Because naturally, the talent, like I said, the islanders are great entertainers and naturally athletic.
Right.
So these girls have it all. They just didn't have the time, but the opportunity to get more females, islanders, to bring them to Japan is there. And I'm working on it right now.
That's so cool to hear because, like obviously in rugby, we have Pacifica women out there smashing their goals, man. And they're representing, at the real elite level. So I just imagine, naturally that wrestling would be something that hopefully soon we can see some Pacifica representation.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right.
So cool.
You're right. Some of the women rugby players that come through Japan, and I see how athletic they are. And my mind's always running as a recruiter, and I'm thinking, if only these girls could be wrestlers.
Boy, hi. Man, on social media, you drop a lot of, you're always dropping motivational messages through your social media platforms. And I guess when I see that, then I feel like, okay, that's so cool because there is your persona as a wrestler, your professional, that's what you do as a profession. But then it's also another opportunity for people to be like, oh, you know what, he's human, you're human, here's you just being real honest and sharing things that motivate and inspire you. But on this one particular TikTok video, you said in 2021, you were saying you're grateful that you have finally found your power voice. And it took me a long time. Like when I had watched that, I was like, I wasn't really sure what you meant because to me, like, I feel like you are out there being motivational, you're inspiring people from so many different walks of life. You're also that you empower others. So I was like, if he's already doing that, how come you're saying that you just found your power voice? Can you explain what that means?
What I meant by I found my power voice, I don't know if you have been following my social media, you go back to 2020, and that's when I started to really do these videos because up until then I'd post motivational quotes on pictures and memes, but it gets seen and that's it, and I thought once the lockdown happened, I realized, especially with my gym, I had so many people who were coming there just because they wanted to be around people and they wanted to train together and stuff. But when the lockdown happened, it really affected everybody mentally. So it's really hard to keep yourself motivated when nobody's around and you don't hear everybody's motivation or telling you can do it. So what I did was I was already listening to some mentors online and stuff. So, and there was a course that one of them was offering. So I signed up, and throughout this course, actually it was called the Power Voice course. So it helped me find that power that I had in my voice and my heart to send that message that can reach through the camera. So that's when I found it. I found it in 2020, practiced it until 2021, and that's when 2021 is when I really pushed hard on the social media side of things of portraying that message or trying to reach out to a lot of people. And it's helped a lot, helped especially myself, because I don't know about you, but in the mirror, if you remember that movie In a Circle, I see power, I see pride, and I find that when I talk to myself in a positive way, I uplift my own frequency, and I bring myself to a higher level of thought and energy. So it was really a self prep kind of thing at first, when I had to talk to myself, but then I realized, what, let's try it on video. And I started doing it on video. It was mainly to help myself, but at the same time, if it helps somebody else, it helps somebody else. And when I started doing that, it really kind of just blew up, because the people who found a lot of support from just hearing, sometimes they won't hear the words, they hear the tone, they hear the voice. Sometimes they won't hear the voice, they'll hear the words, or the music, or the surrounding, or the face. Just a lot of messages I get from a lot of people is, thank you, they saved my life, thank you. If I hadn't come by this video, who knows what could have happened. So it gave me more and more of a motivation to do more of it, or develop more of my skill or my voice, in a way, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's so cool that a lot of the messages you're sharing, it's resonating with so many people. And obviously here we like to talk about the impact that we have on our Pasifika communities. But when I see your messages and I think about Japan, and one of the serious issues here in Japan is suicide. Mental health, not enough resources and support out there for people who are struggling. And it's 2 years now, we're still living in this pandemic, and it's so cool that you're using your platform to really put out there meaningful, purposeful, just messages that can really uplift people, uplift their spirits, and it's so important, because we're living in a time where the 24-hour news cycle, it can stress you out, man. Work, there's just so many things going against us, you feel sometimes. So it's really awesome, bro, that that you decided to, hey, this is, when I'm not, this is me in my profession, but another part of me is the importance of showing the humanity in you and saying, hey, I understand, we all go through those moments where we're just smiling through the pain, right? So it's I just, encourage you just to keep doing that and keep putting it out there, because I see the comments like you mentioned, and if it can just save one life and touch someone who just really needs that comfort, that's what's most important.
Yeah, it's true. The truth, the honest truth is, we live in a negative world, meaning everything around us is very negative. You look at a billboard, that's advertising something that's not healthy for you. Like you look at the news, they're just telling you what everything bad that's going on in the world, and it's very negative. But we have to try and counter that by talking more positive and sending out those vibes, and it really helps. I like I said before, what you're doing here is helping a lot of guys, a lot of people from our background, feel at ease, like especially our family, right? They're gonna see this and they're gonna feel at ease, because they're seeing us doing something different, something uplifting here in Tokyo, right? And they've never been here, some of them. They don't understand, if it's safe here or not. And then you also have our friends and other people who come here. They see your videos, they're gonna learn a lot. They're gonna be, oh, okay, so we can survive here instead of coming here and being alone. I don't know what to do. How do I find out how to do that? This and this kind of stuff. Like you said, what I'm doing helps a lot of people. What you're doing is the same thing, and a lot of people are going to see this, and it's going to help them on their journey, and it's going to put a lot of people's minds at ease. And I think back when I first came in, I was struggling because I didn't have anybody. But I remember when I first found Akebono, Konishiki, and Musashi Maru, and they were the only ones, islanders I could see on TV, and I thought, man. And then here and there you hear some of the English interviews, and then I understand. Oh, okay, so this is what they did to survive. I'll do what they did. But back then you didn't have the internet as much. You didn't have Facebook or whatever, or YouTube or anything. But you have it now. So what you're doing is gonna help a lot of guys, a lot of people.
Wow. So I want to talk about Lions Raw. You recently dropped a 12-episode docuseries where 14 hopefuls compete for a contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tell us a little bit about this project, because it's connected to Fale Dojo back in South Auckland in New Zealand.
Yeah. So when you talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, people they already see it's an exclusive company. It's very hard to get in. It's very hard to see what goes on behind the scenes, as compared to WWE. When you say WWE, everything is filmed.
Yeah.
You know exactly what's going on backstage, what kind of training they do. So what I did when I went back to New Zealand and started the school, my first couple of intakes, I realized how much drama there was.
Drama? What?
What
do you mean?
There's drama in every business, but in wrestling it's elevated because, same in the movie business, because you have to get ahead. But you have to. There's backstabbing. There's a lot of politics involved. So after my first couple of intakes, I realized how much drama and how much emotions there was involved. And I thought to myself, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I filmed all this. So that was back in 2016, 17, 18. So every year I pitched it to Multi TV, I pitched it to TVNZ. Nothing did it. Oh, it's too niche. Every year I go and pitch it to different. And I thought, if they don't want it, I'll try Japan. So I approached Japan. The last couple of years, they kept saying no, and then last year we have a new boss. So our new boss came along, and this guy was just open-minded about everything. So I sat down, I asked him for a meeting, sat down, and I pitched him the same pitch I did with everybody else. And he sat there, took notes, and then he said, "You'll have an answer by next week." And I was stoked because I got the no money, we don't have money, blah 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 blah. And then just one guy just goes, "Oh, this sounds very interesting, let's give it a go." A week later he goes, "Yep, you got your funding."
Wow.
And then I was back in New Zealand last year. We filmed for 3 months. We followed, unfortunately because of the pandemic, a lot of people couldn't come from overseas, because usually I'd have people from all over the world. We had a couple of guys from Israel, we had a guy from Germany, South Africa, a lot of Americans. But last year, because the borders were closed, we were mainly New Zealanders and Australians. But it still worked out. It doesn't matter where you're from, the drama's still there. So
Man, and okay, so you've mentioned the funding and the process. Trying to find funding, it wasn't there. Eventually, you get that. Can you shout out the team? Who is the team, the production team that has brought this story to life? Give them their flowers.
While on the process of pitching it to a lot of people, I came across Daniel Moore, and he was already working with Discovery Channel, TVNZ, all these other companies. and he's trying to get his foot in the door in filmmaking as well. So I teamed up with him and I said, this is what I want to do. And, once we get the funding, this is us. So 2020, when I pitched to the company, they said no. And then 2021, when I pitched it again, that's when I got the funding. And I said to Danny, we got it. And man, he was amazing. Yeah, so I teamed up with Danny Almua and Will Voigt. And both of them had their own companies already, Toksfale Media and One Island Films. So connected with mine, 3 different producers come together, but most of the work was done by editing and storytelling and stuff was done by Danny. But as the 3 of us got together, we've been trying to do stuff together for a couple of years now, but then this is our foot through the door, and we had so much fun filming it. So when lockdown happened again last year, we were halfway through filming, so these guys moved in with us and we just lived at the dojo filming everything. So it was exciting, very good. I hope you guys get to watch it.
Yeah, I know Amelia's mentioned it. She's like, you gotta watch it. I was like, it's on my list. I'm getting there. But yeah, just it's cool. It's so cool to hear, when one door closes, these doors just keep closing in your face, but you persevered, then you got your team together, and it's cool when creatives can come together and make something, despite, all these barriers that are put up against you, so it's so cool that you're getting this story out there. If there are no people telling our stories, you've got to do it. We have to do it. So good on you, bro. Like, big shout out to your team for persevering. And
that's a massive message that everybody needs to know. You're gonna hit wall after wall after wall after wall, and a lot of people give up just when they're just about to break their wall down. They give up. So you never give up. You find a way around it, over it, under it, or through it, right? And you gotta understand it, because it doesn't matter what it is that you want, you will get it.
Yes.
Just do it.
Just do it. No, we're not sponsored by Nike. Maybe one day, but yeah, man, you're hearing it here, fam. You are hearing it here first. When we think about future dreams, because I know, you dabble in so many different things, aside from your profession. So what other dreams haven't you, or are you still trying to pursue? What else is out there for Toksfale?
The second I found out that I could achieve a dream, my dreams exploded. I have so many other dreams now, and I go after all of them. There's a lot of people. It's funny how some mentors will tell me, just find one thing and do it. Forget about everything else, do it. Then I have other mentors who say, do all of it, because you might miss out. But you gotta choose. It's up to you. This one or that one, I'll do all of it. Right now, I'm doing all of it because my mindset is, you only live once. Tomorrow you may never wake up, so you're gonna miss out. So I'm trying to do whatever pops in my head. I try and get it into fruition so I can say I've done it. If I failed at it, then it's done. I can ease my mind and say, okay, I've done it. Doesn't work. Try something else.
And retirement. Should I say that word? Retirement? I mean, is that, or are you like, man, I've still got several years in me, I'm still going strong?
Yeah. So up until the pandemic, my goal to retire was this year.
Oh.
And because of the pandemic, a lot of my plans and my businesses went. But that didn't stop me. So they gave me, the motivation to push through with the Lions Roar, and I got that. Now I'm looking at we are looking at making a movie.
Do you need some? What do you call them? Extras. Do we need some extras over here? Please come.
Hey, You never know. You never know. We come to Tokyo and do it.
Oh my gosh, that's
We
so
got some-
exciting, bro.
Yeah, so making our own movie, that's the next goal for me.
Oh.
But we're gonna carry on with Lions Raw, see how far we can go with that. But the ultimate goal in the film business is I want to be able to say, yeah, I made a movie, and then carry on from that. But there's other dreams. I have a lot of other dreams. But working on the next goal for filming is movie.
That's so cool. Favorite place that you visited in Japan is?
I don't have one.
Choose one. No, I'm just kidding. Choose
No,
one.
I can't.
Too many,
I'm
right?
serious.
Too many.
My job, we go to a different city every day when we're on tour, and I have my, I remember every city we go to, there's a spot that I like. Oh man, that's the spot. So I can't say that's the spot because every little town has a
Got
great
some
little
gem there.
yeah. So I'd say the whole of Japan.
It's a beautiful country,
Yeah.
and I think people forget that it's not just the city life,
Yes,
country,
yes.
the ocean side, it's just beautiful land and seas. Favorite Japanese food?
Tabihoda.
Whoa. Of course. As much as you can eat,
we
folks,
can-
that's what he means. We're islanders, that's just how we roll,
We can eat
man.
anything,
That's what's
my
up, that's
favorite.
what's up. Important lesson that you have learned from living in Japan.
Let me think. Yeah, and I learned this from the sumo guys. If you come to Japan, learn the culture, learn the language, because it'll help you achieve more in your career. It'll help you reach bigger heights. Because if you don't, a lot of people come here and try to change what's here, and they leave straight away because it's frustrating. So the biggest lesson is embrace the culture.
Oh, that's what's up. Amen to
Embrace
that.
the culture.
As we begin to wrap up, I want, at the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned, I keep mentioning De La Salle College, proud alumni right here. So I want to take this opportunity just to shout out Sounds of La Salle, which is a young up-and-coming band from De La Salle College. Follow the little brothers. They're out there making positive music, inspiring, other teens out there in South Auckland. So check them out on our social media platforms. I also want to take this opportunity again to thank Mai, who is the owner of this beautiful establishment right here, this Yemen Cafe, Mocha Coffee. If you're ever in Tokyo, check it out in Daikanyama. And this beautiful spread that we're about to pounce on after the podcast. Also want to shout out my Tongan sisters, Amelia and Emma, our production crew, because we don't play about, fam. We do not mess about. We take this seriously. I also want to shout out Leah Moline. It's a Pacifica brand. Check her out on Instagram. See this beautiful shirt that I'm wearing here. Notice to quit the Pacific. Check her out. Check out her gear online. Also check out Under the Bird, these earrings, which I've had for a couple of years, but I love supporting our small businesses back home, man. Back home in Auckland. And then that's it for me, really. I just want to take this opportunity to thank Toksfale, for coming through today. It means a lot, bro, and you are super inspirational, not just for our people back home, but for the Tokyo-Nesian, #Tokyo-Nesian fam here. We look up to you, bro, and it's just awesome when you guys are out there, living your best life and just ripping not just your families and communities from back home, but just doing things that you love and inspiring people from all walks of life. So thank you for coming through to the show. I appreciate it. And now I'm going to hand it over to you, bro, just to just final words of encouragement, just for our listeners and for our audience.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for letting me be part of this, because I know this is going to help a lot of people. What I do want to leave you guys with is I want you to always remember that there is greatness within you.